every year, the Nigerian diaspora sends back like $25 billion a year in remittances. As a diasporan, if you're going on vacation in Brazil, you're going on vacation in India, you're going on vacation in Mexico, all of these places, how can you not be going to Nigeria as a Black person?
This is Tia Taylor, a Nigerian entrepreneur with a rare cultural background.
I am half Jamaican, half Nigerian, born and raised in the United States. I'm married to an Italian.
She's building something most people will not expect, a business that helps people from the diaspora experience Lagos, not just as visitors, but as people who can live here, connect, and even invest.
Every day we see hundreds of professionals leaving the country for the US, the UK, or Canada. This phenomenon robs Nigeria of its most valuable resource, which is actually not the oil, but its people and their minds.
More Africans in the diaspora are no longer just coming home for holidays. They are coming back to build something real. After living across different cultures and countries, Tia made a decision that surprised even the people closest to her. So in this video, I sat down with her to understand something deeper. What makes someone choose Lagos when the whole world is open to them? And what might the rest of the world be missing?
Everything is happening here. The future feels like it's in Africa. My name is Motia Tabiola Olatunbi, aka Tia Taylor, and I am a very complicated serial entrepreneur. I am half Jamaican, half Nigerian, born and raised in the United States, and I've lived for the past 10 years, well actually 12 now, in Italy. My mom is the Jamaican one, my dad of course is the Nigerian one, and yeah, I'm married to an Italian. So I really do feel like all of the cultures shaped me in some way. I spent a lot of time in Jamaica when I was younger, and I grew up with my mom. So for sure, the Jamaican has had an impact on my upbringing and my worldview. But I still see, some Nigerian aspects to myself. People point them out to me. And whenever people ask me if I feel more this or that, I always say that at the end of the day, I'm an American. I think that people are where they grow up. They are the environment that raises them. Yeah, when I talk to people, who do I relate with the most? Who do I maybe agree with a bit the most? Or how do I see the world? I think I see the world more like an American maybe. And I didn't realize that until I left America. But with one little sprinkle of nuance, now that I'm in Nigeria, I'm also seeing where the 10 years in Italy have also now impacted me. The things that I find important in life are a lot more aligned with the Italians. For example, I really like being outside in nature. I really like good food and the experience around food. I really like simplicity and elegance, which are all very things that I picked up in Europe, honestly. So the 4 flags are there because all 4 of them are very present in me.
So why particularly Nigeria?
So Nigeria, because I felt called to it, honestly. My spirit felt called to Nigeria. As I mentioned, I grew up with my mom, not my dad, and I didn't really have a lot of contact with my Nigerian culture growing up. When I was in the US, I grew up in a very Caribbean community. Most of my friends growing up were actually Haitians, which is funny. I relate really well with Francophones. I don't know why. Yeah, all my friends are Francophone. And then when I moved to Europe, I found myself more amongst Africans. And in Europe, most of my friends are actually Senegalese and Ivorians. And so it was in Europe that I kind of started feeling more like an African, and I got more curious about what Nigeria was like because I had never been there, and curious about what Africa was like because I had never been there. So finally in 2019, when I was, I think, 23 or 22, I convinced my dad to take me to Nigeria and get me my passport. And on that first trip to Nigeria, my mind was just completely blown because in America, I think Nigerians have a decent reputation. They're known for being very hardworking, the lawyers, the doctors, the engineers. In Europe, in Italy specifically, No, that is not the reputation of Nigerians. It's a bit more negative, unfortunately, yeah. And so me being caught in the middle of these two places, I'm like, okay, so what is the truth? And then I got to Nigeria and I realized that you can't know Nigeria and you can't know Lagos until you come here. Nothing that you see online or on TV can really describe all of it. So my mind was blown. Yes, I saw a lot of the things that people talk about. I saw the chaos, I saw the inequality, I saw some of the more negative aspects, but amongst everything else, and this is more me, I see possibility, I see opportunity, and I saw a lot of that in Nigeria. So from the very first time that I came here, I knew that I wanted to build something here and I wanted to do something here. Because I saw that, with the prices and everything there, it would be pretty easy to do, and it would be an easy way to employ many people in Nigeria, make the situation better in Nigeria, and also export and spread African culture and educate people to the world. So that's one of my next projects. I have a couple projects going on here in Italy, but I'm already looking ahead at the things that I want to do in Nigeria as well. Because on my first trip, my dad did very well. I have to give him his props. He didn't he's from Abeokuta, and he didn't just drop me in Abeokuta and leave me there. He actually I went to Ibadan, I went to Abeokuta, I went to Lagos in the span of 10 days. So even though it was still Southwest, I got to see a little bit of differences. And while I liked Ibadan, and Ibadan is not really a small city, and Abeokuta is more, calm, something about Lagos and big city, I was brought up in a really small town, and so I've always been attracted to bigger cities. And in Lagos, it just seemed like everything was happening, and anything that I wanted to do could be done and achieved faster in Lagos. So that was why. Well, if you don't know already, I'm Tia, and amongst many things, I own a company called Cabo that makes travel to Nigeria, and I hope one day all of Africa, easy. My latest venture, we'll say, is actually a travel company here in Nigeria, where I help people that are from outside to come in and experience Nigeria in an easy and enjoyable manner.
Biologically, I knew that I was carrying the weight of these people on my shoulders, the reputation of the Federal Republic of Nigeria on my shoulders. It was all depending on me.
Okay, so in this minute, I'm living in Lagos. But actually, I live between Lagos and Milan. I still have my house in Milan. My husband is based in Milan, and so I live in Milan. But it was really important to me. I built my company over the course of the past almost 3 years. And in those first 2 years, I was going back and forth. Anytime I had a client, I would just come down. So maybe I would spend 2-3 weeks at one time, then go back, come back in another 2 months and spend another few weeks. And so I was saying to myself, well, if I was able to build this company and accomplish all of these things going in and out, what would I be able to accomplish if I actually had boots on the ground and I was here for a longer period? So that's why I said, okay, this year I actually want to spend an extended period, and that's how I decided to move to Lagos for 6 months.
6 months.
Yes, I'm in my 6th month now. So, a part of it was, like I said, just that curiosity again of what I would be able to accomplish if I put more time, effort, and presence into the business. But also, the atmosphere in Africa, West Africa, and Europe are very, very different. In Europe, they're very big on, preserving the past and keeping things the way they are. It feels, I don't want to say stagnant, but it just doesn't feel like a place where the future is really happening. If you want to be a part of the future, if you want to be a part of the change, it doesn't feel like I'm able to be a part of all of these things that are happening from Europe. Meanwhile, when I'm in Lagos, I feel like everything is happening here. The future feels like it's in Africa. So that was another reason why I said, no, I really want to have a base in Africa.
So, Tia, do you think the move is kind of emotional or a strategic move to Lagos?
So, it was emotional because as a daughter of the soil, reconnecting with my roots and all of that, of course there was some emotion behind it, but it was mostly strategic because I said, while I was able to accomplish a lot of things coming in and out, there are just certain things where you don't have the same kind of credibility until you've lived here. It's like, okay, you're dragging people to Lagos, but have you ever lived in Lagos to know what it's really like? Now I can say that, yes, I have. And exactly. And I mean, and it also helps with regards to my clients because I can give them that nuance. I mean, I'm still in Lagos, I'm still operating in Lagos, I'm still living in Lagos regardless. And despite like all of the infrastructural challenges, but now I can give my clients a more complete picture and say that rather than you should come because, we should make Nigeria great, you should come and yes, it's difficult, but we can still make Nigeria great.
Too overwhelming, but it was time. It was time. I couldn't be Tia of Lagos, Tia of Cabo without actually experiencing the market. And so it finally happened.
So my business is Experience Cabo, like Cabo, the Yoruba, you are welcome. And truthfully, I knew nothing about hospitality. That's not my background at all. My background is actually economics. And then after I studied and graduated in economics, I left that to go into marketing, specifically digital marketing. That's how the whole blogging and everything came about. And from there, I got to a point where I was feeling a bit disillusioned in Europe. And I was like, I feel like I have a lot of potential and I'm giving all of that potential to Europe, but I want to build in Africa. Like I said, everything was happening around the same time. This was around the time that I came to Nigeria for the first time and my mind was open. And I'm like, okay, how can I help Africa? How can I get into Africa? Like, what is the solution? And so when I looked at Nigeria, I was like, all right, there's a lot of problems, but I feel like some of the big problems are youth unemployment and brain drain. People are leaving. And I was like, okay, so how can I solve these things? Well, to solve youth unemployment and brain drain, you need to create opportunities on the ground. How do you create opportunities on the ground? You need investment, you need ideas, you need capital. And I said, okay, how do I get investment, ideas, and capital? And I was like, I saw a crazy number, which was that every year the Nigerian diaspora sends back like $25 billion a year in remittances. So that's the money going towards, building houses in the village or sending kids to school. So I said $25 billion is a lot of money. That sounds like capital and it's coming from us. So I said, all right, then I need to get those people and their money here. I mean, the money is still coming here kind of, but what if rather than sending the money abroad to somebody else to manage, they actually physically brought the money and invested directly rather than indirect investment. So then, because it's a logic, but I'll get there. And so I'm like, okay, so how do I get these people to come to Nigeria, stay in Nigeria, and want to invest in Nigeria? Because even if you talk to people in diaspora, they're also very skeptical. Nigerians in Nigeria are skeptical. Nigerians outside of Nigeria are skeptical. Nobody trusts each other, and there's also a lot of lack of transparency and information. And so that's how I landed on the travel company, because I said, how did I went from being someone that didn't know anything about Nigeria, didn't experience anything in Nigeria, to being totally obsessed with Nigeria because of that one trip that my dad brought me on that took me around places, showed me good things. And after that one good experience, I became an advocate. And so that's where Experience Cabo came from. I said, if I can make a gateway for people to come and experience Nigeria in the right way, so long as your first experience is good, you'll be able to now make that change that you want to see. So the idea was to replicate my story amongst all of those millions of Nigerians in diaspora, or as many of them that I can get to. And what has now come to is, like I said, a travel company that honestly doesn't just help diaspora anymore. We have a lot of clients that aren't even Nigerian. Now it's even people that are just interested in Nigeria. People are curious, they want to see it. And like, yeah, they see the negatives, they see the chaos, but they also know that it doesn't have to be that way. And so we are the curated, soft, sane way to see Nigeria.
Okay. So now that you have built Cabo, you have lived in Nigeria, you built Experience Cabo in Lagos, Nigeria. What do you think people misunderstood about this city?
Okay, I think the two main misconceptions that people from outside of Nigeria have about Nigeria are safety and cost. They think that Nigeria is way more dangerous than it actually is. What I tell people all the time is that Nigeria is a huge country, and already it's misunderstood just the magnitude of how big it is. And so you have like a minimum of 3 different countries in Nigeria as it is. And so you have such a breadth of places that are very rural with like not a lot of people living there, not a lot of technology, and not a lot of jobs, opportunity, etc. And you have other places like Lagos where you have 20 million people in one city. And it's funny because I was talking about how Nigeria is such an interesting place because we can have 5 tech unicorns, and a tech unicorn is a tech company that is valued at over $1 billion. Nigeria has 5 of them, despite the fact that we don't have stable electricity, we don't have fast, accessible internet. Like, it's a very paradoxical place. And so same thing with regards to safety. Despite everything that you see on the news, I feel far safer in Lagos than I do in any other city that I've lived. And there are reasons to that. In Lagos, you're not necessarily, because there isn't really, as a tourist, you're not necessarily on public transportation, for example. It's not Nigeria or Italy or USA that is safe or unsafe. It's modes of transportation. How are you moving? How do you look within the society? When I'm in Italy, I stick out. People can see that I'm not like visibly Italian, and that already makes you a target. And things have happened to me in Italy, whereas those things can't happen to me in Nigeria because nobody's looking at me like that. I look like the other 20 million people that are around. There are unsafe and safe parts in Nigeria, just like in any country in the world. And I always tell, especially diasporans, because I mean, like I said, those are the people that I'm really trying to reach. As a diasporan, if you're going on vacation in Brazil, you're going on vacation in India, you're going on vacation in Mexico, all of these places, how can you not be going to Nigeria as a Black person? 1. 2, the cost. People think that Lagos and Africa is really like cost effective and really cheap, when actually it's probably one of the most expensive regions in the world, I think, to live in. The flights are the most expensive flights that you'll pay to go anywhere in the world. Because the infrastructure is the way it is, you have to, where other countries like charge taxes and subsidize the cost of infrastructure, it's like in Africa, because you don't have that infrastructure, you're paying for it as an individual. And so it's very, very expensive. And so that's been something that I've had to try to get even my clients to understand, that because every reality lives in Nigeria, yeah, sure, you can pay $10 and come to, not literally $10, but you can pay very little and come to Nigeria, but you're going to be staying in a reality that you couldn't even imagine as a Westerner, honestly. If you want to have an experience in Nigeria that has the comfort that you're used to and the functionality that you're used to having, it's going to cost you.
So now, what is your advice for the diaspora, one, and also for people in Lagos, like Nigerians?
Okay, my advice for diasporans would just be to be patient, be open, be willing to learn, and to understand that you can't change this place. I thought that I could change it by myself, but I mean, a little bit, I guess. Call me delusional, but yeah. But while you can't,
Do you think it's your fault, like not able to change this? What do you think?
I mean, it's just reality. It's nobody's fault. It's just reality. Nobody can change a country or a city or a reality or systems that have been in place for years. But what you can do is you can make an impact in your little space. So like I said, paying your staff well, treating them well, teaching them actual skills, allowing for there to be growth, giving your clients the best possible service that you can. You can do all those things. All of those things are in your power. So those would be my advice to diasporans. My advice to Lagosians would be, to be maybe a bit more collaborative with people from diaspora, because I feel like people from diaspora can oftentimes just be seen as a resource to be exploited, like everything else in Nigeria. People see diasporans as, easy money that they can charge extra price and just squeeze. And that's unfortunate, because as I said, everything has a limit, and diasporans are, where we're coming from, we're average people. We're not rich. So there's a limit to how much you can squeeze, and anyways, the squeezing is just going to help you today. I always say, would you rather $5 today, or better yet, $100 today, or $5 every day for the rest of your life? If you work with diasporans in building, and you use diasporans as a resource as a sustainable resource that can help you achieve the things that you want Nigeria to achieve faster, that's how we make Nigeria great. So my advice to other diasporans would be I think you should come home. Maybe you won't move home, maybe you won't stay home, but I think that it's been very important to me to reconnect with this land. I think that when you grow up in a place where you're a minority and where you're not from, there's always a piece missing, and that piece that's missing can breed a lot of resentment, it can breed a lot of insecurity in yourself. And once you reconnect with that, I found that I'm much more at peace with things. I find that I'm much less angry and disillusioned with the way things are in the West. I accept the world for how it is, kind of, and I'm okay with my place in the world. I know where my place in the world is, and now all I have to do is just do my part to make it better.
Thank you so much for what you are doing.
Thank you, Farouk, for this amazing interview.